Hi, I'm Christy. Today I want to talk about greater heartaches along with greater joys. Parenting has a lot of ups and downs, heartaches and joys. Parenting someone with special needs increases those highs and lows, greater heartaches as well as greater joys. Once you become a parent, you quickly realize that, just like everything else in life, there are highs and lows. Watching your little one accomplish a new milestone brings joy beyond belief. Dealing with a sick kid isn't quite so much fun, but we know it's part of the parenting gig. As they grow, the ups and downs continue. In many cases, we're able to enjoy the ups, proud of all our kids are accomplishing. During the downtimes, we continue to encourage and support them, knowing that the bad times will pass. Eventually, and many times too quickly, they are suddenly moving out on their own, apart from us. And again, we're happy and excited for all they have yet to achieve. And we're ready to continue being their biggest cheerleader as they move on with their lives. We're also there for the downtimes that we know will come, there to support, encourage, and assist in any way we can. When your child has special needs, all of those experiences are magnified. There are often more highs, and sometimes those lows are significantly lower than parents of typical child experience. Missed milestones, skills that are slow in developing or not developing at all. Slower progress in many areas of life, health issues that arise or interfere with forward progress, and the list goes on. But here's the thing, the opposite is also true. The highs are even higher than they are for typical kids. When a milestone is finally achieved, it's an even greater accomplishment because of all the extra time and effort it took into completing it. Watching the struggle and effort it takes to reach a milestone makes the accomplishment that much sweeter. Now, I'm not sure why, but teaching AJ how to jump is one of those extremes that has always stuck with me. I don't remember how old he was when he learned to jump, but I'd guess he was probably preschoolish, maybe even kindergarten. It was definitely later than typical. Now, I always tell people I can tell you how many steps there are in a jump because we had to teach AJ every single one of them individually. And then we had to add another one because he was landing with locked knees. Bend down, push off, stand up, land, bend knees, stand up. I have no idea how long it took him to learn all of those steps and put them together to be able to jump. They worked on it in therapy, and I wasn't always back there with him. I remember the excitement and joy that came when he showed me that he could jump all by himself. What takes a typical child a few weeks to master had taken him at least a couple of months, and he didn't start working on it until way later than kids usually learn to jump. But he learned. Sweet success. Ironically, today, AJ still jumps and lands with locked, bent knees. But you know what? I don't even care. He doesn't jump a lot, and I'm not overly concerned about him damaging his knees. And he jumps. Okay, that's kind of a silly example. And yet it's not. That's exactly what I'm talking about here. Sometimes the extremes of parenting someone with special needs seem excessive, extreme. And we struggle with balancing how to not over-exaggerate things while still honestly admitting what it's like. And that goes for the ups as well as the downs. How can another parent understand the extreme celebration and rejoicing you're doing when your 4 or 5-year-old is finally mastered jumping? Or when your 7-year-old is finally peeing on the toilet independently? And yet you know how long you've been working towards these goals, and to see them finally achieved seems almost miraculous. How can a parent understand the heartache when they discover that their kid is not likely to ever learn to walk, or ride a bike, or fill in the blank? Most parents never stop to think about whether or not their kids will accomplish these milestones. On the other hand, most parents with a child with special needs realize that typical milestones are not a given for their child. And realizing, and then accepting, that your child is unlikely to ever reach a particular milestone can be devastating. Yet, it sometimes happens repeatedly to some parents. Now, I don't know that I have a good answer on how to support parents like this. Maybe because there isn't a right single answer here. It all depends on this individual and the specific situation. Having raised both types of kids, I've discovered that, in many ways, there's not a lot of difference in how you raise kids. Whatever you decide is important to you tends to be important regardless of whether or not your kid has special needs. Now, that's not to to say that you do the same things or you do things exactly the same for all of your kids. You don't. But then you don't do exactly the same things for all of your typical kids either. That said, the highs and lows for AJ have definitely been more extreme than they are for Sean. But I'm just as proud of both of the boys for the young men that they're growing up to be. And as they continue to move towards being completely independent of me, I'm excited for both of their futures. Yes, they look drastically different, but they're perfect for each one of them. And in the end, isn't that what every parent wishes for their children? The perfect future for each individual child? I can't think of anything I'd rather wish for either of my boys. Yes, I'll continue to support each of them as they need. Yes, that will look different for each of them. And yes, the extremes of AJ's life will probably always be there. And that's likely to mean that AJ's accomplishments will always be just a bit sweeter for the extra effort and work they've taken to achieve, and because we were never sure he'd achieve them. Higher highs, lower lows. Sweeter achievements, deeper disappointments. The ups and downs of parenting someone with special needs. Yet, totally worth it. Once again, I wouldn't change a thing. So my question for you this week is this. Have you experienced the extremes of parenting someone with special needs? I'd love to hear your experiences. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment over on the blog. That's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in April of 2022. If you prefer, you can also email me at Christy, CHRISTY, at havenofhopeforme.com. I'm enjoying the higher highs today after the lower lows in the past, so that I can continue to say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.